Hey everyone, welcome back to She's podcast. Today's guest is Jennifer Lieberman. Hi Jennifer.
Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Good. Welcome back to my podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. I'm so excited to chat with you again.
Me too. Me too. We have a lot to talk about. So what inspired you to write Year of the What?
So it was originally a play,
Oh,
and so I'm an actor, and I was doing theater in New York for several years, and then I moved to LA to get into film and TV.
mhm.
And after like a year and a half of not being able to kind of get a foot in the door, a friend suggested that I write myself a one-woman show to showcase my acting and my writing abilities and to tailor it to show like all the different things I can do. So I played 10 different characters in the play. I played all the characters. Um, and I based it loosely. So I also write erotic poetry, and I basically took 5 of my poems and wrote a story arc around the poems, loosely based on like the first year after my first really brutal breakup. And so it was originally a play, and I did it in LA a few times. I joke like it was kind of like La La Land with Emma Stone. Like she did that show, and there was like one person in the audience, like nobody really came.
Oh man,
I
man,
had more
really?
than one. I had, some friends, and my mom flew from Canada, but the people in the entertainment business who I wanted to come to be like, hello, I'm fabulous. This is what I can do. None of those people came.
Wow,
But I
wow.
kind of realized, number one, that I had a lot of fun doing all these characters and doing the play. And number two, the people who did show up thought it was pretty good. So I was like,
Mhm,
okay, why don't I keep working on this for a while?
mhm.
And each time I rented a theater and did it as a show, because there's several months of rehearsal and process, and then you have your show. So I rewrote it. It was in process the whole time, and then I got into a festival in New York, and I ended up winning the Audience Choice Award,
Wow.
which was like so unexpected. And it's amazing how like sometimes you like set out on a path and you have a specific goal and you don't really like achieve the goal you set out for, but the path takes like this windy, twisty, turny journey, takes you on this journey, and it takes you to some fabulous other places that you didn't expect.
Wow.
So the Audience Choice Award was like number one on that journey, like the first stop on the journey of where I never thought I would go with it. And then when it got some good feedback at the festival, people were like, this would be a great chick lit novel. Like, this would be so great. And the play was actually called Year of the Slut. The book is called Year of the What, and I'll let you know why in a minute. But it was called Year of the Slut. So it had like this really kind of racy, intriguing title. And people were just encouraging me to adapt it into a novel.
Wow.
So I did. I'm one of those people, like we were talking before we went live, like that I do stand-up comedy too. If people suggest like, oh, maybe you'd be good at that, why don't you try that? I'm very open to trying all different types of things like within my creative field. So I did write the book and um, tried to get it published traditionally and find an agent and all that stuff, and that just didn't fly. And it was a long journey of like getting discouraged and not being able to look at it, for like 2 years, and like hiring an editor, and they didn't get it and gave me such
Wow.
brutal notes. Couldn't look at it for another 2 years.
Man.
And then eventually a friend of mine was just like, just finish it. Like, just finish it, self-publish it, because then then you just have a final product. Like, don't worry about the results. Don't worry about selling it. Don't worry about success. Just, you've spent all these years and all this time on a book that's like, 92% finished. Just go the extra 8%.
Wow.
I did. And that's how it came about.
Wow. Yeah, I saw your little comedy clips, Year of the Slut. That was pretty funny. I was like, what is this? And I liked it. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Thank
So that's
you.
how that's how the book was created. Do
That's
that.
how, yeah. And then, of course, like the book took on a life of its own. Like the show was loosely based on my life. But once again, when you're writing something that you're presenting to other people, there has to be like a cohesive story arc, and there has to be interesting character, and everything. There has to be like high stakes in every scene. Life isn't high stakes every day.
Right.
So of course I like borrowed some things from other friends, and then I like invented some things and embellished some things for the play. And then when I got to the book, because the book I wasn't performing, I had so much more freedom in the story of the book that I could really delve into my imagination and create something fun. So that's what happened.
Nice. So is there going to be a second book?
Yes, I love
It
that you asked that. Yes, there will be a second book. So as I said, the original show is called Year of the Slut, and I did originally launch it with that title, and I was censored from doing any advertising on social media like Facebook, Instagram, even Amazon, where it's available, because the algorithm, the word is too offensive. They wouldn't let it through. So I was like, okay, I need to be able to reach more than just my friends, like more than just my friends group. I need to be able to like reach, get ads and reach a mass audience. Right. So that's when I decided to change the title. It took me a while. Like a colleague suggested it. It took me about 4 or 5 months of like hemming and hawing over it. Because the title was what got everyone so interested in the first place.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, that would be such a great chick lit novel. Like I would just pick that up off the shelf. I wouldn't even need to know what it was about. So anyways, book 2 is Year of the Bitch. And I was like, okay, well, Year of the Bitch is going to be censored too. Problems, with bitch that I had with slut. So it sounds simple, a simple, progression to call it Year of the What, but I actually tested so many titles, and it took me a while to come up with that simple, easy one that you would think like a no-brainer, but I don't know. It didn't come that easy to me. But I realized that it would be good, and basically these are feminist pieces. So when we're young women, in our teens, 20s, the word slut is used as a weapon against us. Right. It doesn't matter if we're promiscuous or not. That's just a go-to word that people use when they want to attack a woman. Right. And I feel like as we get older and we're more assertive and, we're in the business world and things like that, then we're a bitch. And right. That's the go-to word that people use to attack us. Yeah. So in this first one, Year of the What, I'm using I'm kind of deconstructing the word slut, because the protagonist is quite naive, only been with one guy. Her heart's been completely like obliterated. And that's where we start the book. And she has a very promiscuous dominatrix roommate who's trying to like impart, this wisdom on her, like, honey, you're going to be with more than one guy in your life. So just kind of like, ride some more horses and have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Man, that's the second book?
No, that's the first one. That's Year of the Slut. So basically it's the protagonist, Dana. She's coming to terms in her own mind of what slut means to her. Because she was the type of girl who thought she'd only be with one man, and that's the guy she was going to marry. And she saved herself. She waited until she was, in her 20s to be with the right guy. And then it fell apart. So she was very uneasy with the idea of like hookup culture and promiscuity. But in the book, she's doing it. It takes her a while to get there, but her experiences are for her own self-exploration. It's, you know, because her roommate basically says to her in the first chapter, like, if you don't start having sex for yourself now, when are you ever going to do it?
Exactly.
And yeah, so that's book 1. And then book 2 is Year of the Bitch. And that is still in the works, but it's taking the character 10 years later into the future, and when she's in a more, you know, stable career and is rising the corporate ladder a little bit, and has to become more assertive in her life.
Nice. Wow. So do you have to change the name of that one too?
Well, you know what? They're all going to be Year of the What, and it's book 1, book 2, and then book 3. I also have a book 3, but that'll be a few years down the road.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to pick the first one up, man.
Yeah.
So it's a comedy, right? It's not like, it's a comedy.
It's a romantic comedy. It borders erotica. There's some really racy scenes. The love scenes get a little explicit. So it's a steamy romance. It's definitely a comedy, but she does deal with some bigger issues that I'm gonna let people find out for themselves what's in there. But it takes you through all the feels. Some of the reviews on Amazon, people have said, like, they laughed, they cried, you know, it's the type of thing that, like, you're going to feel everything.
That was my next question. Like, that was my next question. What did your family think about your book, Year of the What, and have you gotten any good feedback from it?
So, it's, you know, it's funny. Of course, they weren't thrilled about it. When I came up with the show, Year of the Slut, like, nobody was thrilled about it. And even my grandmother, I was talking to her on the phone because I was in LA and she was in Canada. And I, you know, telling her I'm working on this play. And like, after a few weeks, she's like, "What's the name of the play?" And I was just like, she was in her 80s. And I was like, "Year of the Slut?" I'm not a good liar. Like, I'm not.
Me either.
I can't, you know? And she's like, "Why? Why would you do such a thing? Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Grandma, if I called the book A Jewish Girl Looking for Love, nobody would buy it."
Right.
And I was so blown away by her response, because she took a beat and she's like, "You know what, Jennifer? You're a smart little cookie, aren't you?" Because she got it. Like, even though she was in her 80s, like, she got it that, you know, like, if you're going to stand out in the crowd and you're going to get noticed, you have to have something that's, like, spicy, maybe a little controversial. So the fact that she was able to, like, make peace with it, that's all I needed. You know, my dad's another story. My dad, not so happy about it, but also he's never read it. So he doesn't really, my mom needed to see the show and my mom read it. My mom saw the show and that was, like, a big turning point in her understanding, like, that I was born to be a performer. Because up until that point in my career, I was kind of the victim of what people picked me to be in. I talk about how when you're an up and coming artist and you don't have much experience, especially as an actor, you're only acting in things that people pick you for. Right. And if you haven't had much experience and you don't have many credits, they're not picking you for the stuff that's really challenging and that's meaty. So when my mom saw me do the play on stage by myself for an hour and a half, playing 10 characters, I wrote it, like, I did everything. That was finally when my mom's like, "Okay, now I get it. Like, this is what you have to do with your life."
Yeah.
You know, because up until that point, it's like, you know, bit roles, little student films, off Broadway. And I did a lot of great work off Broadway, but it's, you know, this kind of legitimized me in a way. So I'm sorry, I lost track.
No, it's fun because
that's how my family felt. And like my mom read it. She's supportive of it. My grandma actually asked for the book. So I gave it to her a couple months ago. I don't know if she's going to read it. She's now in her 90s. She's going to kill me for saying that, but she is.
Grandparents are so supportive though. Like I told my grandmother like a month ago, I was like, so grandma, don't be mad at me. She was like, uh-oh, what are you doing? And I was like, so I'm going to maybe dabble in burlesque dancing. And she was like, what? She was like, yeah, she was like, what? She was like the women in Las Vegas, the one that take off their clothes. And I'm like, yeah, grandma. And she's like, well, do whatever you want to do. Like she was there, do whatever you want to do. My mom surprisingly, she was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, watch.
I think that's amazing. I don't have the courage to do burlesque, but I have lots of friends in that world. And I love it. I love going to burlesque shows. It's so much fun.
Really? Like, I'm scared now. Like, I was going to do that. And I'm like, oh, no. My mom, she always like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Bet you won't. Bet you won't. Like with my piercings. And I came back with piercings and tattoos. She's like, oh, I didn't think you was going to do that. But I'm a show. But yeah, family's good support though. It's good to have them have your back. So
yeah, totally. Like the last play that so right before the pandemic began, I was doing a play in New York, and yeah, my mom came, my grandpa, my dad, my brother, like everybody flew from Canada to see me. I even had a couple of my cousins come, like on a different weekend. Yeah, it's,
it really is. So when you did the Broadway play, was there a lot more people? Like a lot of people?
It was an off-Broadway play, but yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hopefully you get a Broadway.
I would love to. Yes, universe. Hello.
Have you been like how does that work? Do you apply or do you just go and audition? Like, how does it work?
So it kind of depends because different productions happen in different ways. But I am part of the union. I'm part of Equity, and I'm part of the Canadian Equity Union. So you get emails, you get notifications about general auditions. But in terms of the Broadway stuff, a lot of times they cast people who are already famous because it's a bigger draw to sell tickets. But there's always a chance. There's always a chance they can't find exactly what they're looking for.
Wow. I hope you get it. You're pretty funny. Like, I was watching your little clips. Like, you're pretty funny. I'm like, wow.
Thanks. Yeah. I enjoy it. I love what I do. So I feel really blessed that I get to keep doing it,
Yeah, definitely. I want to thank you so much for coming on my podcast today and chatting with me.
Thank you so much, Brooke. And do you mind if I just show people my book?
Oh, yeah.
So this is Year of the What, and it just became an Amazon #1 bestseller. So you can find it on Amazon, and there's an audiobook. You can find it anywhere books and audiobooks are sold, and of course, Kindle. So thank you so much for letting me plug that.
You have a great day.
You too, Brooke. Take care.
You too. Bye. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Jennifer Lieberman. So if you would like to purchase her book, like she said, you can go on Amazon or her audiobooks. You can go on Audible or whatever, wherever they have audiobooks at. You can also go on her website where you can see the comedy clips that I was talking about. She's pretty funny. You're not going to want to miss this. So it's pretty funny. She has like stand-up comedy clips, and then she has clips of her acting, like Dump Water Divas, The Neighbors, and The Year of the Slut. So I hope you all check that out, and I hope you all have a great day and make great choices. And thank you all so much for supporting my podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Have a great day.